Welcome back to Samurai Fashion Academy YouTube channel for another interesting tutorial. So in this class, I'll be teaching you how to make this beautiful trendy ruched sleeve you are seeing right there on the thumbnail. So I'll be showing you the easiest method to go about this ruched design, and as you can see right here on the dress form, it's looking so beautiful and gorgeous. Okay, so the method you are going to learn to make this sleeve, you can use it for a full basic sleeve, but we are working exactly with what we have on the thumbnail right there. That is why you see the upper piece with a velvet fabric and the lower with a tulle fabric. So if this is what you want to learn, please stay tuned till the end of this tutorial. Thank you. So for this particular ruched sleeve on the thumbnail, I'm going to use my basic bodice pattern. So it depends on what basic sleeve pattern. It depends on what kind of sleeve you are making, okay? Because you can also use an off-shoulder sleeve to make this. So it depends on the kind of dress you are making. So for this, I'm using my basic sleeve. As you can see right there on the thumbnail is a basic sleeve. And here I'm tracing out my basic sleeve on another lighter paper. So here I will mark or trace out my grain line. So to trace the grain line, you can see my grain line right there. So I have just made a mark to it. So this part is my front pattern. That is my front sleeve. And I'm going to go ahead and make a straight line connecting my center grain line. So it's very important you make a mark to your center grain line. Okay, so right now you have your choice to design your sleeve the way you want. Okay, so as you can see right there on the thumbnail, you can see the sleeve was cut before the ruche. This is the cap sleeve, and the ruche started somewhere here. Okay, so we are going to ruche this, and this is going to carry our basic sleeve. But if you want all to carry the ruche, okay, the same thing we are doing right here for this, that is what you do for all as well. Okay, so the point is you need to learn the technique to making this ruche, okay, to your sleeve. So I just go ahead and cut right away. So I'm cutting my pattern right now. Alright, so this is what I have on my pattern, and I'm going to use my tool to create this ruche. So if you want the whole of this to have this ruche, this is the tool I'm working with right here. That is if you want the whole of it to have the ruche. If you want to cut and have the ruche, fine. What I mean is if you cut from here, this will be your sleeve, okay, as it is on the thumbnail. Then we can now add the ruche. So whichever method or pattern you want is fine and good. So this is the tool I'm going to work with right now, and this tool, the length of every tool comes at 60. It comes at 60 inches. That is from one end of the tool to the other end comes at 60 inches. But here, for this particular project, the width of this, I'm just using what I have here. So you can also determine the width of what you are going to use for your tool. You can see here I have 16 inches. So my cap bicep distance is 16. So half yard will also do for this ruche. So but to be at the safer side, I will encourage you to go by at least 20 inches which is more than half a yard, okay, or even more. So I will use this to demonstrate this, and again to determine the length of the tool you are going to make use of for your ruche. You can see here I have length as 23. So if you are making a long sleeve for this ruche, length is 23. You can multiply by 2. If I multiply my length by 2, I'll be having 46. Okay, if you multiply by 2.5, you will have around 56 or 57 or 58. So what I'm talking about is whatever length you want, and it depends on how you want this ruche. The length you are working with, you can do that length, which is 23 times 2.5, to give you a perfect length for your ruche. So but for this class, I'll be using the length of 50 inches to create this ruche design. So I'll be doing exactly what we have on the thumbnail, that is cutting and joining the ruche part. Okay, so if I have to cut what I have now, this is it. I'll just go ahead and cut, and this part will be cut with a plain fabric, while this will be ruched. So if this part is the part that I'm ruching now, that means I'm working with 17 from this point. So I can do, or 18, I can do 18 times 2.5. So if I do 18 times 2.5, I will have about 45. Okay, so I'll be cutting out 45 length of tool. So to measure my length of tool, I'll just simply put it together. What I have here, I just simply put it together this way. Okay, so that is how to measure tool, to take the tool measurement, because it behaves somehow at times. So put the heads together, that is the salvage together, and then you can take 45. Can you see that? Okay, so I'm working with 45. So at 45 right here, I'm going to cut to ruche. So that is what I'm working with right now. So the most important part of this project is to show you how to make the ruche style or ruche design. So since I'm making it and joining it back to the basic sleeve, I'll first of all go over to the machine to show you how to make this design, then we'll join to our basic sleeve. So to make this design, this is it. I'll just place it this way, and I'll go to the machine and follow this line. You can see this line I made. You need to make it. I'll use my hand and keep, making the ruche style like that. Can you see that? I'll keep making it. You can see it's already forming. So let's go to the machine now, and I'll sew in between it right now. We'll be back and I'll show you what next to do. So you need to centralize it. Okay, the length you are working with, you have to keep the length on this axis at the center. Okay, so I have positioned it at the center now. I'm going to back stitch, and I'll start making my ruche design. Okay, so as I'm making the ruche design, you need to be creative with it. You don't need to pack the ruche at one point. Remember, our distribution of this ruche has to be even. Okay, you don't pack it at one point, so you have to evenly distribute it, but you have to also make sure you are sewing at the center line. So I'm done right now, and I'll back stitch once again at that point. Okay, so now we'll take it back to the table and place it and trim and add our seam allowances. Remember, you can add your seam allowances on paper. You can also add it right here on the ruche. Okay, So but this is what we are going to do. We will first of all sew by the side of the pepper, okay, which is where we have our sleeve already before we talk about adding seam allowances. So I'll come also by the side, as you can see, and sew right at the edge, okay, at the edge. So I'm sewing right at the edge. You can see how I'm placing it. Can you see? So you have to make sure it's straight, the ruche is straight. So this sleeve is very easy to make, and it's trending also. So this is the easiest way to make this sleeve. So I also turn to the other side. Please don't drag your two. Don't drag your two. I'll back stitch. Don't drag it. Just leave it to take its normal course. Can you see? So it's a sleeve you can make in 20 seconds, 20 minutes, sorry, and you are done if you follow this basic pattern. So I'm done right now. So I'll take it to the table to add my seam allowances. So I've cut out the upper basic sleeve. So I've added my 0.5 inch and my 1 inch on the side for seam allowance. So this part I'm going to sew it to this. But before that, we are going to add our seam allowance, okay? So I'm adding 1 inch seam allowance, and I've measured the 1 inch. So I just make sure from that line I measure my 1 inch, okay? So I've added my seam allowance, and here I've also added, I'm also adding the 1 inch seam allowance. So you can see that. So now we are going to turn this sleeve and take off the pepper we stitched right there. So with this pepper, you just work it. It's very easy to take off. So you can just go ahead and take off the pepper, and it's very easy to take off. So once you take off the peppers, what you will have left will be your seam or your stitches. So you can see the stitches and the allowance we added to this sleeve, okay? Okay, so I've taken it off and we are good to go, okay? So please remember, this was the front part, and we are going to join this front to this part, okay? So I'll just take off all of them. Just take your time. It's easy to take off. So I'll take off my pins from the main basic sleeve, and then I'll just join it. Make sure you notch the center grain line, okay? So this is the center grain line. I'm supposed to make a notch to it. So I'll go to my machine now to save time. I'm going to sew from one end to the other, from the other end to the other. So I'll quickly sew it and bring it back to sew the sides. Right now you can see I've joined the sleeve at 0.5 inch all around. So this is what the front looks like. So I'll just go ahead and match them together and sew on this line, okay? So I'm going to sew right on this line, which is the the seam allowance or the side seam. So I'll do that right now, just like you sew your sleeve. I'm done placing them together and I've sewn on top. Okay, I laid the line I had for the other side on top of the other side, and I now stitched. So this is the third stitch. So I'll just go ahead and reduce my seam allowance. You are working with tulle, you don't need too much seam allowance for it, so you just clean it up by reducing it, so you can see it looking neater than before. So I'll be placing this on the dress form right now. So I'm not really making any dress for it, but I just want to show you, and I believe you learned a lot from this class. So this is the sleeve head I just notched. That is where you are going to place, and note that this part is the front sleeve. I'll just make a notch in case I'm sewing it to a dress. Okay, so I'll be turning the sleeve now, so you see the final finishing of this beautiful sleeve. So I'll just place it on the dress form right now. So make sure you take off all the pieces of paper. Nobody notices any pieces of paper in this sleeve. So I'll place it right now for you to see the final outlook. So if you are new to this channel, please kindly subscribe, turn on your notification bell to receive videos like this every day. Like this video, share to family and friends, drop your comment on the comment section and your suggestions as well. So thank you for coming, and see you in the next class. Bye.